Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning into this video. For those of you who don't know, my name is Sarah. However, I do go by the artist name Hime, although there is a 3 there. The pronunciation is Hime because I say so. I basically make down-tempo, electronica, experimental, like ambient types of music. I've been focusing kind of on like more lo-fi hip-hop type of stuff for a little bit. And today I wanted to actually do a bit of a ramble. I know we're now well into the new year and I haven't posted in quite a while. The last time I posted had to do with one of my releases. I believe it was for Drift, which was a more lo-fi inspired type of track. But today kind of wanted to again just ramble about a couple of topics. Originally a couple of weeks ago I did try to record and I had all of my topics on a napkin. This time I actually do have it in my notebook, or rather my agenda, and a couple of my the notes that I wanted to talk a bit about were just like my plans for the new year in terms of at least music, you know, social media, lo-fi for me, and how I'm feeling about doing that, or trying to do that. I want to talk a bit about AI and just the concept of maybe actually like being yourself and stuff. And it's actually interesting because when I mentioned my name, like my artist name being Hime, him3e, I had actually a talk with my boyfriend, who is actually like a marketing guy, like he does copywriting and marketing, and he was saying, you know, like maybe you should consider changing your name, or at least changing how it's spelled. And I was telling him that I actually I thought about that. I didn't take any offense to it. I wasn't too triggered, and I started trying to like come up with other names for myself, and I was trying to figure out maybe I should consider rebranding because, okay, the story with my name, Hime, is that the origins actually come from like a princess, like I think it's the Japanese name or word for princess, or distinguished lady, right? Which is what Sarah means in Hebrew. So I just kind of, I want to go with that. And the original spelling I want to go with was Hime. However, there's actually, no surprise, an artist with that name. So then I wanted to try with 2 E's, and at the time I saw the same thing. And it was kind of bothering me because I was like, I want a name that's at least has some semblance to my real name, right? So I added the 3 because at the time there were a lot of artists who had numbers in their name, and I mean the big one that we all know is like deadmau5. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I mean, it's kind of pretentious, but maybe whatever. You know, I'm a princess, so let's go with that. So that's why it's Hime with a 3 and then an E. And I didn't think of it as anything weird, but then I did something, was it 2 years ago now? And I was using my artist name, and the person on the live stream said, him3e, and I was like, yeah, it's pronounced Hime. I know it could be pretentious and all that, but I mean, it is what it is. So at that time I was considering changing my name, and I was gonna consider going with the phonetic of it. However, phonetically, that like how you would spell out Hime phonetically has also been taken. So I was like, okay. So then I started trying to come up with other names, and it just, nothing really fit. And I'm also kind of lazy, right? I don't want to have to change my name. I already got like a website and all that stuff, right? So I kind of ended up just telling my boyfriend, like, you know, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to do that. Because it was honestly stressing me out. The idea of changing my name and then, you know, changing all the, like, anything about it. I'm just maybe a little too lazy for that. Plus, I've put out God knows how much music under the name, right? And I kind of said that for anything that's more searchable, I do have like a house moniker. I haven't put music out on that for quite a while. I have music in the vault that I haven't completed for the house one, but I can always just advertise more with that, like my house techno moniker, and Hime will remain as is. And the I wanted to kind of just make music however I've felt, which is why Hime exists. So, you know, changing the name didn't seem like a good idea in the long run. So yeah, wow, I went with, am I going backwards on this? I suppose so. All right, Hime, being yourself. Okay, so this is going to kind of loop in with maybe the concepts of AI and lo-fi. I hope I don't offend anybody by talking about lo-fi, because I like lo-fi. But yeah, so being yourself. So my first album, or like the first album that I did for Hime, was called Mirrors, and that was one of my more experimental albums at the time. I just did what I want, and I know I tend to do what I want on all of my albums. However, that's where at least the spirit of being yourself kind of came from. However, after I released that, I noticed that like lo-fi hip hop was becoming really popular. I remember seeing a video from, I think, Frank Jaff C about how to make it, and I saw just this explosion, and I was like, yo, maybe I should get in on that. So in one of my next kind of like albums or EPs, I don't know, right? I haven't checked how long it is, so I can't define whether it's an EP or an album. But in my next one, like The Intricate Life of a Wallflower, I decided to, at least I thought, experiment with the idea of relative lo-fi, and I noticed, and now more than ever, that what I came up with was actually not technically lo-fi. It is what it is, but I thought the tracks were still great. And since then, I've always tried to practice, like, kind of getting some of the lo-fi feel, you know, but still try to remain doing like what I like doing, which is just experimental, off-kilter to some degree, soundscape type of music, right? Okay. My boyfriend's kitty is just like laying down, so thought she was gonna get up, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to open the door for her. But yeah. And here's the thing, like I said, I love lo-fi, but I think a lot of it just sounds very homogenous. A lot of it tends to sound relatively the same. There are only a few artists where, you know, they kind of have their own sound or their own vibe. So then, you know, you can kind of, like, because you see that, you go, okay, like, you know, you can have, like, semblance of personality within the genre. But for the most part, I started finding myself trying to do more conventional type of music, or conventional type of lo-fi, and I don't think I've been like, I think I've done well in terms of a lot of the sound, but I felt like in a lot of ways I tended to lose myself musically, because in a lot of ways, for me personally, most of the music that I made that was relatively lo-fi, especially in the last year, tended to be more on the contrived side. That said, I did learn a lot in terms of making the genre, and I'm still making it. It's not like, you know, I'm just giving up on it. I have a couple of tracks that are lo-fi inspired, but I have to definitely say that it's a lot more contrived for me, and it's not where I think my strengths lay. Like, it's tough for me to consider mixing lo-fi, but it's easier for me to mix all of my other experimental stuff, right? So I kind of just want to be just doing exactly what I need to be doing. And in fact, I'm working, and I've been working on an album that I think like is nowhere near lo-fi and lo-fi inspired. It's going back to my original reasons of like producing, and some of my original inspirations for electronica on a whole. And those are basically like Gold Panda and Teebs. So I listened to like Prayers 2 from Teebs and Damn Near Cried. It's in freaking 6, I think it's in 6/8 or something. Like, that's amazing. I'm like, oh my god, yes. Right? And then Gold Panda. I love Gold Panda. He's actually a large part of why I produce. A very large part. Outside of Kanye at the time. Am I allowed to say his name? Anyway, yeah, so... and I'm really excited for that album to come out. I have a couple of tracks that I'm still kind of just mixing and trying to finish. And yeah, I'm going to release that. And I think I'll actually go hardcore on trying to, I'm trying just doing social media on that. I might actually go on TikTok. I might actually do TikTok. Oh, I think I was like way too close to the, to my phone. Anyway, what did I say? I talked about lo-fi, being yourself, social media. I need to be on it more. I actually, in real life, you know, outside of like this YouTube stuff, I don't have Instagram anymore. I got rid of the app. I haven't needed it. I don't know what's going on in anybody's lives. I don't really know what's going on in the news unless like somebody tells me, and that's when I know it's important, right? And I'm pretty much just on YouTube always like looking up tutorials and stuff and kind of like taking notes and just studying. I've been studying a lot of like technical stuff outside of music too. So, you know, that's where I've been. And working out. I just like to work out. So I have to actually really get an understanding of like social media and get on it before the train, like even the TikTok train, TikTok's out. So yeah. And then AI was the very last thing that I wanted to kind of go in on, and not even go in. So as a person who tends to, how do I say it? I am kind of neutral on AI, and I know that the chat, is it GCP, I don't know, that chat bot thingamajig. Anyway, I know that that's gotten really popular. There have been a bunch of videos about it. I still don't really know what it's called. And I know some people are like really afraid in a lot of ways that AI is going to completely railroad humanity, and, you know, basically us producers and musicians will have and stand no chance against AI when it especially becomes better. But I'm still not scared in a lot of ways, and in fact I'm kind of a bit excited, because not excited. I am intrigued because, for me at least, I would love to see or have AI try to make a Hime type of beat or a type of song. I would love to be able to go to like this AI program or whatever and say, hey, so can you make a Hime style beat, and then tell me the process that you went through to make the beat or make the track. And the reason why I like that personally is because I don't have a formula. I don't think I have, I don't necessarily have a formula. A lot of my music, especially the non-lo-fi stuff, tends to be actually very organic. I get inspiration from wherever, whether it's the gods, the spirits, I don't know, infinite intelligence, I don't know what it is, but a lot of the time I tend to listen to my music and I go, oh, I made that. I really made that. Like, for real? Right? Because, and I mean, I can kind of go through what I did. I don't know how I got to that point where I'd say, oh yes, let's do this, let's do that. I just experiment. A lot of the time, I would love to say that a lot of my tracks tend to be, they kind of at some point start off as like happy accidents. And then from there, something else comes over me and I'm able to then go, okay, and then the drum goes there, and this is how I'm actually, you know, putting the song through, and then, okay, I'll reverse this, and then I'll get rid of that. And like that stuff, sometimes it just comes out of nowhere. There's no handbook that I'm using. there's no formula that I have written down in order to make my own music. So, all right, my next album or EP, I don't know what it's going to be yet, because I think the difference between albums and EPs just happen to be like the amount of time for the whole thing to end. So I don't know what it's going to be yet. But the whole point is, my next project, the way that I know that I pictured most of it, not the whole thing. The majority of it was actually going to be based off of me sampling myself, and I actually did sample the previous album. So my Digital Wallflower Lo-Fi album ended up being a main catalyst and inspiration for this new album. And I know for a fact, like I did go in with that intention. I wanted to be able to sample some of my old stuff, and the way that I know I did that, just putting that out there, it's not going to be a secret, whatever, but I have a video on this channel where I was sitting outside in my old backyard, and I was just playing with the SP and just constantly doing random things with the SP, and I was recording it onto, of course, like the SD card for the SP404. And I later on went back into my, on my computer with the card, took all the stuff, and just started playing around. I found something that kind of sounded cool, atmospheric, and I went with it. That's literally it for me. That's how a lot of like my track, not a lot, but that's how a lot of the tracks for my new project came to be. And then along with like the inspiration from Gold Panda and Teebs, in terms of like how and it's not in terms of going, oh yes, they use these instruments and they use these samples, therefore I'm doing that, so much as it was like, how did I feel listening to those tracks or listening to those artists, and I kind of went with it that way. So it wasn't as methodical as use a specific hi-hat and make sure you roll off the high end and turn it down and make sure it's not quantized and you take some of it off. No, it didn't work like that for me. With this latest album, I did not do that, and I'm really happy that I didn't, because it's one of my favorite projects that I've done in a while. I think the last time I got this excited was for my 2020 to 2022 trilogy of like Complicity, Societal Hazing, and oh my god, Uninitiated. I was gonna be like Infantilized, which is a song on Uninitiated, but yeah, and that's when I got like really experimental, so, and just did what I wanted. And I think that maybe it's because I'm blessed that outside of music I do have, a decent job, and I can kind of like chill that way, that I don't feel 100% like, like I have to make a specific type of music so I can, pay all my bills and stuff. So I don't know. Wait, I don't know where I'm going with that. Just scrap that. Scrap that part. But the whole point is, I find, and I'm finding more of a freedom to just do what the heck I want to do musically. At least that's how I'm feeling right now in the month of January. And I'm no longer feeling fully embedded in this idea that I should consider doing what's most popular right now. I think that there may be a little bit more merit to the idea of being yourself and doing what comes natural and passionately to you. And I think that in a lot of ways, we need more of that in this world. And if we have more of that truly be yourself, do what you want, don't have any of like these like restrictions. It will work out well. Anyway, yeah, I hope that made sense, because again, this is just a ramble. I like to ramble once in a while, and I do this mainly for myself. And anybody who wants to listen, that's great. But yeah, I will do a couple of videos soon for my lo-fi inspired tracks. And I will definitely be doing a couple of videos on my next project that I am honestly really, really proud of and excited to do, because I'm trying to figure out even the genre. It's not lo-fi, that's for sure. It's not hip-hop. It might be considered electronica, maybe indie-tronica. I don't know. I actually don't know. And just had a thought about what I would probably do on TikTok if I could. Oh God, I feel like I'm too old for that, but yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this random rambling video. And for those of you who would love more rambles, let me know in the comments. And also, you can always subscribe, like, comment, get notified. No. So yeah, I hope you guys like, comment, subscribe, get the notifications, all that stuff. Let me know, and I can come back and just ramble some more. Maybe talk more about just random processes for certain tracks, because every track honestly has a different process. I'm not going in directly methodical, going, this is exactly the sound that I want and this is how I'm gonna get it. No, it just comes up a lot of the time, and it's beautiful when it comes up like that, when things kind of come out of almost nowhere and you're almost in a trance when you're producing and making stuff and even arranging. Like, sometimes I start off with like a really great like 16 bar loop, and I leave it for a couple of months, and then I come back and then I go, oh my God, like I can do something with this. Or sometimes one of the tracks even on this next album or EP, whatever project, basically I was I had one track, it was almost done, and I hit like a roadblock. The drums just bored the living hell out of me, and I didn't know what else I can do to make it interesting. So I left it for well over a month, got back to it, and I saw it and I was like, oh, okay, I can do this. And I did that, and for me now it works. Right, so anyway, I'm gonna go, and what am I gonna do now? I'm gonna study. Yeah, it's getting late, so maybe I'll just drink some water too, get hydrated before bed. So yeah, thank you again. Take care, have a good night or day or morning, depending on when you're watching this. So Sarah is thanking you and is out.